my channel. I have decided to do another video in my makeup artist series. I had originally said that my last makeover video was going to be my final video in the series, but I had so many questions. I really had like more than any other request to do a video on how I prep my client's skin for the actual makeup. So I thought I would go ahead and do, like, there's no rules saying I had to be done with my makeup artist series. That's why I love for y'all to comment. You tell me what you want me to see, and maybe stuff that I hadn't thought about, like this, and I'll make a separate video for it. So I think this is number 7. I don't know, but I am going to tell you how I prep my client's skin and make sure that it is very, very ready and to the best it could possibly be for the actual makeup that I will be putting on their face. So prepping of the skin is extremely individual, like extremely individual. Even sometimes, even if they have dry skin, I will do something different than someone else that has dry skin because they may be a mature dry skin versus a teenage dry skin. You have to really find out what works for you. You have to research your products. You have to find out exactly why it works for what it claims to work for. And you have to get samples. Go get samples. Don't buy all this stuff, especially if you don't have the credentials to get you an actual pro discount. Do not go pay full price for stuff that you don't even know if it's going to work. Don't be shy to go into Sephora and Nordstrom, which is the places I feel give the best samples, and ask for samples of these products. I think all of them you can get. All of them you can get at either Sephora or Nordstrom. So let's just jump right in. The first step that I do is I cleanse my client's face. And that's the one thing I didn't bring up to show you, but I use the Garnier Micellar cleansing water, the makeup remover, on a cotton pad. I just cleanse her face. They can say they came in with a clean face. They can say, I don't have anything on my face. However, if your client isn't at till 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they've been up since 8 o'clock in the morning, they have accumulated dirt and grime on their face, whether they know it or not. So I always cleanse, always make sure I've got the cleanest canvas that I can before I go in with anything else. That product does not change. I use that on everyone. Then I go into moisturizer. Now this is my bag that I keep in my kit that's got most of my prep items in it. I do have some that don't fit in this bag that I keep separately. But I will tell you that for the moisturizer, I use one of 2 products. If they have normal to oily skin, I will use the Embryolisse Cream Concentrate. Okay, this is a small one. I think the next time I'm going to end up buying the big one because I just go through these way too quickly. If you're not working, but maybe like with one client a week or something, the small one will last you a long time. So I would start with that. You can get this at Sephora if you have discounts, like if you qualify for discounts. Namies, Nigel's, Friends, all of those have this at a discount. Camera Ready Cosmetics, so on and so on. But this small bottle I think is only $16. So it's just a normal moisturizer that can also work as a primer. I don't use it as a primer, but it seems to work on all skin types. I just find it's not as moisturizing as what I sometimes like to have for dry skin. So I tend to only use this on my normal to oily clients. But it is really nice for even oily clients. Even though they do sell a mattifying version of this, I find this works perfectly fine for my oily girls. If I have a dry client or a more mature client, even if they say they have normal skin, if they are the mother of the bride or the grandmother of the bride and they do have that mature skin, as a rule, the more mature the skin, the more dehydrated it's going to be. I use the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. And I just there's a good chunk of it out, you can't tell, but I take my spatula and just take a little bit out. A little bit goes a really long way. This is another moisturizer that can be used as a primer. In fact, some people will say it's not meant to be a moisturizer. I find it works very well for that. So it does have a strong scent. It smells, it has a citrus lemony scent almost, but I don't find it lingers on the face. So these are the 2 moisturizers that I use the most right here. Now, if I feel, okay, you have to stand back, you have to look at your client, as awkward as it's going to be for them sometimes when you're just staring at them for more than a minute, you have to analyze the face before you do anything. So even before you do the moisturizer. Analyze your client. Do they have a very strong spray tan? Okay. Probably they do, because if they're going to an event or they're getting married, that they have done some kind of tanning. Is their face spray tanned? Okay, if it's not, and you have an extremely white face with an extremely spray tanned body and neck that you're going to have to match. Sometimes foundations don't match all the way correctly to the warmth of a spray tan, okay? So if I find that to be the case, or if I'm working on a man, I will take this product right here. This is the Clinique for Men, okay? And it's actually, it says it's for men, it's marketed for men, but I use this on male and female clients. It is a gel face bronzer. You need so very little of this product, but again, it comes out like a gel. You rub it in, and it looks a little scary, but then you keep rubbing it in, and it just warms up the area that you put it. Now, I use this on almost every single man, no matter what. Like, I don't really care what their neck looks like, because I know that this is not strong enough to make that big of a difference. And men, as a rule, have more warmth to their face than women do. So I always start out mixing this with this. That's where this comes in. I do not put this directly onto someone's face. I will put it directly on their décolleté without moisturizer or something like that, but I don't put it solely on their face. I always mix it with my moisturizer. So that's why I wanted to mention it in this step, because if you find that you want to warm up your client's face, I highly recommend this. I think it was $20 something, and it will last you forever because you need the smallest amount. But I don't hear it talked about much, and I don't see it used much by makeup artists, but it really is, to me, a necessity in your kit, especially if you work on male clients, photo shoots, TV, stuff like that. Okay, so we have a moisturized face. Now I go into eye cream. Now, I use the same eye cream on everyone. If I find that they have extremely dry under eyes, I'll take a little bit of this vitamin-enriched face base and I'll put it under their eyes in their moisturizer step. If I find they have normal under eyes, I will not put too much moisturizer around the eyes. I'll just wait for the eye cream. And I use the MAC Fast Response Eye Cream. And it's almost, I need to replace it. It's just a very, very thin, which is good because it works very well under concealer. You don't want anything that's going to be too heavy and cause creasing or settle into fine lines. But it's a very thin gel, and it's almost cooling on the skin, and it has caffeine in it. So because I do my eyes first on my clients, by the time I get to their under eyes, this has sunk in, it has depuffed, it has helped brighten. It's the best that I have found so far. So it's the one I highly recommend to everyone because it works on almost every single client unless, like I said, they have extremely dry eyes. This is a step that I really think is necessary. It's not talked about much, I don't think. We do it personally. We all put, well, we don't all, but a lot of us put lip balm on before we do makeup. It's really important to do that for your clients too. They're no different than us. They might have dry lips. They need to have moisturized lips for when we get to their actual lipstick. And this is by far, hands down, the best lip balm I have found for clients ever. And it's the MAC lip conditioner, and it comes in the same tube as the eye cream. So you may want to put some kind of dot or something on it. Even though once you open it, you'll be able to realize it's not the same top. It's got like a lip balm top to it versus the straight applicator of the eye cream. And I don't even know why I'm showing you this because, it's a lip balm. You're not going to be able to see it. Yeah, you can't see it. But if I have, say I have 6 clients one week, okay, spread out over the week. 5 of them, at least, if not all 6, will ask me, what did you just put on my lips? That feels amazing. It is the one product people text me about the most, saying, please tell me what that was that you put on my lips at the very beginning. It was so moisturizing. My lips look so good. It's just so good. So again, this is the MAC lip conditioner. So I've moisturized, I've done the eye cream, I've done the lip balm. Now I'm going to actually start priming my client's skin for foundation. This is where you need to pay attention to your ingredients, okay? So many times people say, this foundation, it's not working right. It's balling up. I don't understand. Yesterday it didn't do this to me. On that client it didn't do that. I don't understand. Their skin's the same. What's going on? Your primer ingredients need to match your foundation ingredients, or it's going to be like oil and water and they're not going to mix. What I mean is you need to make sure you have a water-based primer for water-based foundations, and you need to make sure you have a silicone-based primer for silicone-based foundations. Very important, especially when you're working on other people's faces. You want to make sure you have the smoothest application. If you don't make sure those ingredients match, it's not going to be good. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be good. Now, the majority of your foundations are going to be silicone-based. So you're not going to have to worry about this too much. But as a makeup artist, and I know a lot of other makeup artists carry MAC Face and Body in their kits, and that is a water-based foundation. So if you know that you're going to use MAC Face and Body or some kind of water-based foundation, Makeup Forever Face and Body, like all the face and body type foundations, really light coverage, tend to be water-based. So if you know you're going to use that, then you need to use a water-based primer. The best water-based foundation primer I have come across is by Laura Mercier, and this is the smaller tube. I personally find with as much makeup as I buy for myself and as many samples as I get, that rarely for this kind of stuff are you going to need to buy full size. But also for face purposes, I like to carry the smaller sizes. So this is the Laura Mercier regular foundation primer. It's not the Radiance. It's not the Protect, which is SPF 30. I mean, that's fine. All of those are water-based too, but it just comes, it's like a lotion. It doesn't have any of that silicone feel. It's just a nice, very smoothing water-based primer. So that is my favorite primer to use if I'm using a water-based foundation. If I'm using a silicone foundation, my favorite silicone-based foundation primer is the Hourglass Mineral Veil. I've talked about this before. The only thing I don't like about this packaging, when I repurchase this, because it is almost gone, I think I've got about that much left, I will buy the Big Daddy that comes in the tube. It's more expensive, but it's more bang for your buck in the long run, and this packaging to me is faulty. You get way too much product with one pump, and the pump sticks. Totally off topic, but this is my favorite for silicone-based primers. I also really enjoy the Smashbox primers. The pore minimizing, the oil-free. I prefer the oil-free silicone-based primer just because it just has a little bit less slip to it. So I do also like those. I have also used those in the past. I just don't have any right now. So once I have primed my face, those primers, I will go in with my corrective primers. Is what I like to call corrective primers. So these include like pore fillers or primers that you're only going to put in certain spaces of the person's face. The other primers I talked about, I put all over my client's face. These primers are more like spot primers, if that makes sense. And pore filling primers are, to me, in this category, because I do not put pore fillers all over the face. I put them just where the pores are. So my favorite is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer, and also the Benefit Professional, which please don't ever buy a full size of this because you get samples at the wazoo of this stuff. Both of these I only press exactly where their pores are. I don't put them anywhere else. I don't find a need to put them anywhere else. And because you're doing such a minimal amount, I find that these work okay with water-based foundations, even though they're silicone-based. Because you just put a tiny bit and you literally just press it into their problem areas. This is also where I come in if they are super oily or super red. And again, I like to use my Makeup Forever Step 1 Base Correct in the Redness Correcting. This is a green primer. Again, I am only putting this where they're red. If they just have really red, rosy apples of their cheeks, that's the only place I'm going to put it. And I just spread it very concentrated on those areas. I don't think you need it in anywhere else. You don't need to cake on more products than you need. So very, very, very concentrated areas with that. And also with the Makeup Forever Step 1 Base Mattifying Primer. This is like the least amount you will need in any of your products because it is a fine line between amazing hallelujah product for oily skin to, oh my goodness, what have you put on my face product, okay? Because you need the tiniest amount or it will affect your foundation. It will peel up, it will ball. It's just not fun. So I'm talking like a pinhead, and you just lightly put it. I normally only put it right here on the pores, on the chin, on the bridge of the nose, or the side of the nose. I asked them where they get their oiliest, and I only put it there. So now you've got all your primers. You've got your full face primers. You've corrected the primers. Now you're going to go in with actual color correctors. I consider this to be prepping the skin because I always put my color correctors on underneath foundation. And anything under foundation is prepping the skin, in my opinion. So I am not one to go haywire on color correcting. I don't think one person needs more than 2 color correctors at the very most. A lot of my clients don't need any. But if you have super dark circles or if you have super pigmented rosacea, then I'm going to color correct on you. Otherwise, not going to happen because it's just adding more product that you don't need on the face, and I don't like my clients to look like they have cake face. They don't like to look like they have cake face. As far as darkness, I use one of 3 primers, and it completely depends on the person's skin tone. I only have 2 of them up here. I left another one downstairs. If they have a pale skin tone and they're very cool toned, I use the Bobbi Brown corrector, which comes in like this little tiny little compact, and I use the color Light Bisque. So it's just a very light, it's almost gone, but very light peachy color, and I find that the more pale clients really this suits them better, because if you go in with like a dark orange corrector under their eyes, you're never going to get rid of the orange, no matter how much concealer and foundation you put on top of it. Another one I really like is the the Eve Pearl Salmon Concealer and Corrector Duo. I really like that. For more light skin tones, maybe not so, not as fair as what I use the Bobbi Brown on, but light. And then like light to medium to dark, I use the Sephora Bright Future Corrector Concealer in melon, and it's an actual orange color, so I only use that on my light to medium to dark complected people. And I also will use this same range of colors on age spots, sunspots and age spots. So redness, if they have redness, I've already primed a little bit with the Makeup Forever. Normally that does the job. If they have excessive redness, I'll tell you, I want to buy the Smashbox corrector sticks that have recently launched, but the one that I found that works the best as far as green is actually from e.l.f. And it's the HD Lifting Concealer in Adjusting. But it's the green shade. Super, super pigmented and really does the job. So I just take a tiny little bit, and what I do, especially for more concentrated areas, is I just pat it in. I don't rub, I just pat, and you can see it blends out fine doing that with the warmth of your fingers, and then foundation will cover it right up. Once I have done all those steps, which seems like take forever because I feel like I've been talking forever, does not take forever. The only extra thing I will do, depending on my client, is put a little bit of luminizer on their face. I really like the MAC Strobe Cream, and I like the Becca liquid luminizers. Totally depends on the look you're going for, the skin type they have. It's very, very, very individual. But all the rest, I hope this is not too much overwhelming information. I hope it's helped you, especially the ones that specifically asked for this video. If you have any questions about any of the products, or again the order that I use them in, please let me know in the comment section below and give me some other ideas. I'm really loving doing this series. I've had a lot of good feedback on it. I'm so happy that I'm able somehow, some way to help even just one of you. That's why I do what I do. So if you have any other ideas of videos for me to do, be sure and put them in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a very blessed day.